What is up, guys? Before I start on the Naruto chapter review, let me know in the comments below if you guys are interested or willing to see my other videos that I may upload on this channel on TV show and movie reviews. I just did Big Bang Theory. Anyhow, today we're going to be talking about Naruto 661, The Failed World. First and foremost, I just thought this whole charade with these tailed beasts constantly being, flipped out, then flipped in, and then flipped out again, from being captured and taken into that totem sculpture thing, and then that sculpture thing being used up to form the Jinchuriki, which Obito stole, and now Obito vomits all these tailed beasts out again, and very quickly they get pulled in and recaptured and put back into the totem by Madara. That whole charade, I just thought it was I definitely thought it was the author's way of very sloppily trying to reorganize what he wants to happen for the culmination of this entire series. It's very clear it's coming to an end, and you can see in these switcheroos that the author is pretty much just, he hasn't decided, so he's like, I'm going to do this, and then he's like, no, I gotta do this now, so I have to take out the tailed beast so it makes sense. And then you can see the author is just all over the place. And I believe this was his final way of patching up all the issues so he could get the end result. I think he's sort of making this up as he goes. So at the time he wanted Obito to have the Jinchuriki's power, and at the time he wanted Obito to do some epic fight, and then just maybe die to Naruto and the crew, and then for the flower to bloom without the need of the tailed beast. And then I guess he decided along the way, no, I kind of want something different to happen. So he's like, this is going to be kind of bad because I just took out the tailed beast, but there's no other way. So he goes along this whole charade where the tailed beast gets vomited out by Obito, and now Madara very quickly pulls him back in. It's obviously a huge mess that's not smooth at all. I'm really sure a lot of people missed that, but I didn't. And so here we're starting the chapter with pretty much Naruto getting his tailed beast ripped out, along with all the tailed beasts just going into that totem statue thing. And here's the thing, honestly, people forget this, but Naruto himself he's always been a Jinchuriki. So people have forgotten and may be confused as to why exactly is Naruto so exhausted after the tailed beast got ripped out. But it's pretty obvious. It's because usually when you've been a Jinchuriki for your whole life and all of a sudden that's been ripped out, like technically you're supposed to die, but Gaara is there to save him, and Gaara is like the one person who has not died after having his Jinchuriki ripped out. And I at the time thought Gaara would be trash from then on, assuming he survived. And technically, if memory serves me right, and I'm pretty sure it does, Gaara should have only lived because of a forbidden sort of life technique, where I believe it was his grandmother, transfused what was left of her life into Gaara. So I'm very confused as to where Naruto sits right now, because I'm like, at the time I was like, even if Gaara survives, his powers are gone. Like, he's going to be so weak without the Shukaku. And then for whatever reason he survived, became the Kage of the village, and has powers comparable to what he had before, when he still had the Shukaku tailed beast. Um, so because of those events, my theory is that Naruto is severely weakened, but because he is Naruto and therefore really strong, he's going to survive this, despite technically most Jinchuriki not being able to survive after their tail beast has been ripped out. Obviously, he's going to survive. He has the one Jinchuriki currently alive who has done this feat, though with a little bit of a cheat code. By the way, I have to mention that was such a sad ending, you know, and I never really thought that Gaara or anyone else really thanked that grandmother well enough. I believe her name was Chio or something. But yeah, she gave up her life using a sort of forbidden life technique that she had apparently spent her whole life training towards. And that was such a plot twister. And again, it's just like hundreds of chapters ago, but brings back memories. Still makes me so sad and just aggravates me, because it's like they never really thanked her for it. Like, apparently the story was she was like the grandmother, or just like an old lady who was watching Gaara grow up, and she noticed how Gaara was constantly sad, to the point where he made dolls that resembled his parents. Actually, I believe the dolls were actually made from the bodies of the real parents. And she saw that, and she was so moved that she created a forbidden technique that would drain her own life to revive her Gaara's parents. And for whatever reason, maybe because Gaara became corrupt or whatever, she never used it. No. I got it wrong. That wasn't Gaara. That was she created that technique for one of the members of the you guys know what I'm talking about, of Pain's group. I totally forgot. Oh yeah, Akatsuki. It was one of the members of Akatsuki, the puppet dude. And I guess she never managed to use it because that puppet guy became so corrupt and joined Akatsuki that she decided it wasn't worth it anymore. And that, I felt that whole story was so sad and ridiculous. But yeah, regardless, back to this chapter. So that's all I gotta say with Naruto and Gaara. They leave the fight, and this just seems ridiculous because now the entire nine-tailed beast is gone. I guess what happened is Naruto's father gave up his half finally. I was under the assumption that he could not do that, and he just, you know, let Naruto borrow the tailed beast. So technically that would mean that half of the QB is still not inside this totem thing, but I don't think that's the case based on the depictions in this chapter. So that didn't really make sense. But yeah, it's a huge shocker. You have the 8-tailed bull and the 9-tailed fox all being pulled in. By the way, where is Naruto's father right now? And also, on top of that, I still don't understand, like, Minato, from what I've seen, Minato has to sort of fight with Naruto in order for the full use of the Kyuubi. I thought that the seals were so permanent that Minato couldn't just say, you know what, here you go, here's my half of the Kyuubi that I've sealed away for so long. It doesn't work like that. So I guess based on these like first 8 pages of the chapter, it's very clear to me that the author is just, you know what, he's like, I'm done with all this backpedaling. I am somewhat impatient and I want the series to end. So, you know what? I'm just going to skip forward immediately and have Madara immediately suck up all the tailed beasts. And I don't blame him in a way, because I have sat through a lot of manga series where the authors have decided to, you know, extend a fight scene for unnecessarily just because they have that power. Because I mean, if you're the creator of the series, you can do anything you can imagine almost. So I mean, my point is that he could have easily made it so that this fight between Madara and everyone else took another 3 to 4 chapters before Madara managed to extract all the tailed beasts, or maybe failed to extract the tailed beast, or maybe had a showdown and never actually managed to extract the beast before he died. But again, this was the author's choice, and I think it's fairly good. There is a little bit of humor where Madara's like, actually not Madara, Zetsu is like, well, that took a little bit more than a few seconds, like you said, because Madara said he would be able to finish this fight in a few seconds, and his confidence has now been justified. And this is ridiculous because what we know as of so far is that when he was in his undead form, he was still stronger than all 5 of the current Kages combined. And he was weakened because he was in the undead form, and he wasn't trying his best with the 5 Kages. So that really just tells you his power level at that stage of the game. One could reason that he had Hashirama's cells at that point too, which could be true, but it's definitely clear that his Hashirama cells have given him a much more greater advantage once he has materialized again as a mortal flesh being. So yeah, it's ridiculous, because what that implies is that either Madara was such a prodigy back then, which means that, I mean, Hashirama was an even greater prodigy back then because he beat Madara, or more likely what happened was that Madara was just you know, top of his game in his age, and then since then, because of the times of peace or whatever, ninjutsu declined with every generation because of the lack of need for it, similar to how like maybe after a war and a long time of peace in the real world, maybe military technology might slow down or whatever. I don't know, but you get the point. The new generation has weakened with each age of peace, I guess you could say. That's one theory. But the point is, as I've always stated before, I'm constantly confused as to why Hashirama is so weak, and there's 2 evident reasons as of so far. One is the fact that he is in his undead form, which apparently has been revealed to show that you can't release your full power level while you're in that form. And on top of that, I mean, that was technically fairly obvious because this was done before by Orochimaru when he was trying to take over the village, and he was fighting the 4th Hokage, Sarutobi. And then Sarutobi wiped the floor with Hashirama and the rest of them in their undead forms. And I can't remember exactly where I got this explanation. It was either like Yahoo Answers or some sort of Naruto forum discussion, but it was explained that the most likely what was happening was at the time they were restraining themselves from fighting, and as well the whole ninjutsu wouldn't revive them at full capacity. So that is like, here's the thing though, he's mortal, so if he does get wounded, he can't just revive automatically. On the flip side though, he can now release his full capabilities along with Hashirama. And it's also kind of funny how he does get revived in his youthful form. I guess that's just a, you know, it's an implication. It's like, yeah, might as well revive him in that form. So now we're at a point where things are pretty bad. You got the 2nd Hokage crumbling on the floor with like flakes of his skin or whatever, or flesh all around him. He's pretty much like a you know, have you ever burned like a piece of paper in an actual like fireplace? It almost crumbles into like charred crumbs, and that's what he's like on the ground. And so here's the thing. Madara in this panel says, furthermore, I'm nurturing a new idol. I don't know if it'll stick with me. That brings up another problem. Don't get me wrong. As a reviewer of this chapter, I love the chapter, but there's just these small things that I don't get. I still love the chapter. Don't get me wrong. What I don't get is how they just keep swapping around this eye like it's a hat or a glove where you can just, you know, put it on and it works for everyone. You know, first it started with Madara. He gave the eye to I believe it was Obito. Then Obito, in his masked form, called Toby back in the day, Toby gave his eye to Nagato. Nagato gave it back to Obito, and now Obito gave it back without voluntarily wanting to, wanting to, back to Madara. And it's almost like, you know, you just pop it in and it works. Pop, pop, pop. And it didn't even make sense, because as a bio major, the eye is one of the most complex things. There's so many different neurons and stuff that have to connect perfectly. It's probably even harder to connect than like the best supercomputer on Earth to like the national hard drive for the government's use or whatever, because it's not like, at least with engineered wires, like every plug has its outlet, whereas this, when you're talking biological stuff like an eye, like it doesn't always work like that. You kind of have to, it doesn't work like that. Like surgery has not advanced to that stage. And the only like somewhat understandable thing was when Sasuke had his surgery for his Eternal Manchu, because that took a lot of time in preparation, and we have Madara here just popping in the eye. But again, as with all plot holes, everything can be reasoned with a little bit of, oh, don't worry about it, it's a manga, we can just assume that it's the magic and physics of the Naruto universe, and therefore when you pop in the eye through ninjutsu, all the neurons will magically align and attach on. So this eye is like being passed around like a venereal disease. It's disgusting, but there you have it. And so now we get this fairly cool part. Hashirama, of course, is screwed over. I'm guessing what happened is, you know, he is no match no more because Madara has stolen his own Hashirama cells. So now he's all screwed up, he's all crumbled up, and he's got freaking black chakra sticks sticking out his back. And he tells Sasuke that he reminds him of Madara's brother, and he's giving him this like last bit of thing. All the rest of his chakra, as well as this like this technique to seal his own cells in Madara. So the thing with this is, here's the thing. I really thought that Sasuke would do a lot better job. And I'm sure a lot of people are shocked at the ending too. Sasuke being so strong, I wanted him to go in and just blow Madara's mind. Obito was very talented as a Uchiha member. One of the last Uchiha, technically, after Itachi slaughtered the rest. But Madara never looked at Obito in any sort of high regard way. He was never at a state where he was like, wow, you are very talented as a Uchiha. Um, Probably because Madara himself was such a prodigy that even to Obito, Madara was on a higher level. And so I wanted this chapter to end with maybe Sasuke coming in with some highly genius sort of Uchiha tactics um, to impress Madara. Because, I mean, he is the last living, Uchiha member. And so a lot of people may have been in the exact same way and they were disappointed. However, I don't think I've lost hope yet because, I mean, Uchihas, they are Genjutsu masters. So this seems like an obvious fake cliffhanger. Just like what happened back at the Sasuke Itachi beginning fight, where the chapter ended with, Sasuke cutting through, like, stabbing a knife through Itachi, and then that turning out to be a Genjutsu, and then, that endless series of, knives being stabbed behind each other. It was just a tremendous battle of Genjutsu. And so that's why I think it'd be pretty cool. I still have the hopes that maybe Sasuke will be like, boom, I just beat you, Madara, in Genjutsu. Something crazy like that. So technically, the Genjutsu cap has already been met with Itachi's Sword of Illusion, which he used to seal off Orochimaru, because apparently that is the highest tier Genjutsu possible. Regardless though, we now have the 4th Hokage, who is also crumbled and dead. Madara is like sticking in black chakra sticks into this guy's head, and based on just his the fact that he can't die, that's the only reason why he's still alive. And so this chapter ends with something that I really thought puts on a new leaf to the story. A new leaf I have already explained multiple times, but people still fail to realize. Unlike a lot of supervillains, Madara is one where he is actually seeking sort of the same thing as the good guys in the series. And basically he's a good guy at heart who has turned to corrupt and twisted ways to establish the greater good. All he wants, like everyone else, is complete peace. No more fighting, prejudice, war, death, and so forth. But he has turned to different methods to achieve it. And in theory, in a lot of ways, what he said is correct. Like, there is no other real method that has been put forth that would truly solve all these ordeals in the Naruto universe. I mean, there's death, there's war, there's pain, tragedy, suffering, and Nagato had the same goal. He failed though. I can't remember what was Nagato's method of fixing all these. I think his method revolved around something about making everyone feel pain so no one will want to inflict pain again. And then Naruto came and fixed that, and now Naruto is here again in theory to fix everything with this other guy who has a corrupt way of solving it. It all seems like a huge journey where Naruto is constantly meeting villains who at the end of the day end up having the same goal as him, but have found twisted ways to figure that out, oftentimes caused by the terror of the universe. So it's really philosophical, but at the same time a little bit naive and simplistic, because I mean, we're pinning all of this on a doofus Naruto. No offense, this doofus Naruto, who I guarantee you has not even truly thought about this, more than just thinking to himself, I'll figure it out. This isn't the right way of solving things. And I don't know what I will do if this series ends with Madara dying and Naruto just becoming Hokage and saying, well, we still haven't solved the problems of tragedy and so forth, but we will try like all the other Hokages. And then he does the same sort of crap that the other Hokages do, like Hashirama. And the series ends with the implied consequence of the world continuing as it is, with the tragedies of war and pain and death and so forth. Regardless, this was entirely spurred by like the 19th page of this chapter, where Madara's like explaining it to the second Hokage, and he's like, "You do have a point," and that's where it hit me. It was like, he has no logical reason to argue with this guy, other than the fact that it's kind of a twisted way to live if everyone is being controlled through hypnotism and illusions in a dreamlike world. That is twisted, but I mean, at the same time, he does have a point. Like, that does solve a lot of big problems, and in a certain way, that to Madara at least, that's worth the alleviation of death and tragedy and war. So the second Hokage, he literally doesn't have any reasons other than that to oppose this. So he's like, you do have a point. And then he says, however, that's not a dream you should be allowed to control. So I guess, you know, they're still fighting, and then he shoots out something which I thought it was like I thought it was the eternal flames that can't be extinguished.